let's go ahead and move to the Spence versus Crawford. This is a big matchup.
Wow.
So let me ask you before we get into predictions and reactions. How long have you been waiting for this Spence Crawford fight?
It's been at least 3 years, I think. It's been
Yeah.
3 years. I thought that I knew it was gonna happen one day. I just didn't
Hmm.
want it to get out of hand and become like 7 years or something like that. I think it's perfect right now. They both want it, and they both agreed, and we got it coming up.
You know, I remember when I sent you the message a couple of months ago. Hey,
Hmm.
Spence and Crawford, they
Yeah,
finally agreed to the fight, and I remember your reaction was exactly what it was. I'll wait till they get into the ring.
yeah.
Why did you send me that?
Because that's the way boxing's been lately.
Yeah.
They throw they feed people, you know, stuff, and everybody runs on it, and it
Hmm.
turns out things don't happen. I mean, people have been
Hmm.
talking about Spence and Crawford for a long time,
Right.
and there's negotiations, and we got to see contracts signed. Look at the whole
Right.
Charlo and Canelo thing. When
Right.
was
Right.
remember the offer? That was a long time ago. That's when Canelo was with Golden Boy.
Right. Right. Right.
So anyway, and my reaction was I won't see it until I see both of them in the ring. And now
Hmm.
it's official, July 29th. It's gonna be awesome, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to compare this fight to in terms of before they even get into the ring? All this hysteria. What do you think it compares to this mega fight? Do you consider it a mega fight, or do you consider it like maybe not S tier mega fight, but maybe that lower tier? What do you consider this fight? Is this as big as it gets for boxing?
This is just my opinion. This is my opinion. I think it's a long awaited fight, just the way everybody waited for the Ray Leonard and Hagler fight.
Ooh, okay.
These are two undefeated fighters. They're both, the best, fighters, in the last decade.
Hmm.
And I compare it to the Hagler and Ray Leonard. When I'm gonna fight you, I'm not. I'm retired. Comes back and they fight. That's
Right,
that's the
right,
way.
right.
It's a mega fight, man.
Which, by the way, we will do a review of the Hagler Hearns. We're going to go start doing more classic fights. We'll start reviewing
Mhm.
those fights and give our opinions. You know, and so let's get into it. What kind of fight do you see from Spence? What is Spence going to give to Crawford?
I think Spence is going to do what he always does, and he never changes. It's just come forward. He
Hmm.
comes forward and he drops bombs. He's
Right.
coming to attack, and um, he's going to be landing those body shots.
Let
And
me
he,
ask you this,
go
not to
ahead.
cut you off. I apologize. You know, they're both they both fight southpaw, but Spence can really he's also comfortable fighting right hand. I think he's naturally right-handed, but he
Hmm.
fights left-handed. Do you think he's going to stick to one style, orthodox or southpaw, or is he going to go? I'm sorry, orthodox, or is he going to go southpaw, or is he going to be switching throughout the fight?
He's going to be
What do you?
switching through. He's going to be switching throughout the fight. He's gonna
Mhm.
he's gonna find what works, and he's gonna go for it.
Right, right.
And um, have I seen Spence get hurt? Yes, maybe twice. One with
Hmm.
Ugas and one with I forgot the guy's name. I think his last name was Bundu. But other than
Right, right.
that, yeah, other than that, I mean, the guy's unstoppable. He's the Terminator, bro.
Well, look, you and I've talked about this before, even for years already. And when he had that accident, I remember telling you specifically after seeing him fight with Ugas, I don't think I think he has an injury he hasn't disclosed to anybody yet. I think I know he's telling everybody he's 100%,
Yeah,
but I've seen him be vulnerable to that overright. I don't think he could see at a certain level. I don't think he's telling anybody about that. I've seen him get caught too many times, and I feel that Terrence Crawford knows that. So I honestly think that Terrence Crawford is going to be exposing that side, just punching the right side of Errol Spence. But here's the difference, though. Errol Spence's jab. is so stiff
Mm.
and so long. And in a weird way, he does have a lot of power. I mean, he doesn't really have knockout power, but there's something about that jab. It kind of reminds me of Mayweather a little bit, where I would see a lot of boxers would say when who fight him, who would fight Mayweather, say he doesn't have no power. But yet they couldn't get in, not because Mayweather was a defensive whiz, but they, to me, it was just like, man, there's something about Mayweather's jab that is just too much, that keeps boxers at bay.
It's a speed, I
And
think.
yeah, and I think Earl Spence has that, but a little bit stiffer. So I don't know if Terrence Crawford is going to be able to get off that right hand and expose what I think may be a blind spot for Earl Spence. That's just what I
Okay.
think, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think Errol Spence has the power to maybe not knock out Terrence Crawford, but I think he's going to knock down Terrence Crawford. I think he will.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
I think that Errol Spence is the toughest, the hardest hitting boxer that Terrence Crawford's ever going to fight, and Bud Crawford has been down. He
Yeah,
has.
he has been down. He has been
He
down.
has
Yeah,
been down, and
definitely.
I think that Errol Spence has the power, and giving credit to Bud Crawford also is that I think Crawford is a skillful boxer. Put up with that pressure that Spence is going to give him. I think Spence is just going to be too much, in my opinion.
So, you know, I've made it very clear that the American boxer has really evolved to a more defensive fighting style.
Mm-hmm.
Why has what is different about Spence's fighting style that takes that defense, because he does have good defense except for that blind spot, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it that makes him want to be more aggressive? Because I see a lot of boxers when they fight somebody that is more dangerous, that has a potential that brawling, they tend to become more of a defensive Philly shell style.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that Spence, at least for me, I want to ask you, is able to bring in that offense and be so effective at it while be defensive as well?
I think it's the training he's had. I
Mhm.
mean, look what he's done to kill Brooke. Look what he did to
Yeah.
Ocampo. Look at the war he had. Look what he did to Danny Garcia. Look at the war.
Mhm.
Look what he did to Ugas. I mean,
Right.
look at the war, beautiful war he had with Sean Porter. I
Right.
mean, his defense is his offense. Okay,
Right. Right.
when he comes in, I mean, you're thinking about punching. This is just my opinion.
Right.
His offense becomes his defense. He
Right.
comes at you, and if you want to throw a shot, he's gonna come and throw you a shot too. So it's
Mhm.
is give one, take one, and a lot of people
Right.
just shy from it. I mean,
Right.
he's a good boxer, man.
Mhm.
Spence has good power. He's in the box. He can box you, and I mean he'll do whatever. He adapts to any style.
Right. Right. And that's what I saw. I remember when he fought Mikey Garcia. You know,
Oh yeah,
granted, Mikey went up 2 classes. I mean, and Mikey's known for more his cerebral style than
yeah.
brawling, of course. I just remember seeing that was one of those 11-1, 12-0 fights where you just saw the boxing lesson that Errol Spence can give. And granted, that was pre the accident, right? But that's kind of what I fear in this boxing. I think most people are expecting fireworks. But if Errol
Mm-hmm.
Spence wins, in my opinion, before we give our predictions, if Errol Spence wins this fight, I think it's going to be a boring fight. And I think it's going to be one of those 10-2, 9-3 kind of fights where it's
Wow.
just it's just Spence giving a lesson to Crawford. And that's going to put Errol Spence probably for everybody, for most boxing writers, probably put him on the number one pound for pound list with whoever wins between
Wow.
Fulton and
Wow.
Inoue. What do you
Wow.
think? What do you think? What are you, without giving me who you think's going to win or lose? How is it going to look if Spence does pull this off?
if in my opinion,
Hmm.
how's it gonna look if Spence pulls this off? It's gonna be a TKO. It's gonna be a stoppage.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
it's gonna be a
Wow.
stoppage. I think it could go either way, but I got my
Hmm.
pick, of course, because of resilience that Spence has and just coming forward. But it's gonna be a knockout in my opinion.
Wow. Okay, so let's before we give our who we're gonna say win or lose, let's go to the Crawford side. How does Crawford pull this fight off then?
Boxing, it's sticking and
Okay.
moving. Boxing,
Really?
sticking
He's
and moving. Yeah, but Crawford ain't afraid to get into a war either. But I think that once he feels
right.
the power that Spence has, he's gonna have to rely on his feet. He's gonna have to,
Hmm. Right.
and I don't think Crawford wants to get knocked out.
You know, I love that take. I kind of feel that Crawford is gonna feel that pressure. And like I said, unless Crawford exposes that blind side, I mean, I could be wrong about the blind side. Maybe he doesn't have a blind side, but
Hmm.
as of late, even with Ugas, he gets caught on that right side. I saw it even with Danny Garcia, he gets caught. And if Crawford doesn't get to that, or maybe Spence has outgrown that ever since his accident, maybe he's gotten a little bit better on that blind spot, or maybe he doesn't even have it. Who knows? I honestly think Crawford is going to feel that pressure. And the only way I think he's going to break through and win this fight is that he has to go into the trenches, like you like to say, and
Hmm.
make Errol Spence break out of that discipline that he has and go toe to toe. Not so much where he's sticking and jabbing, that goes more into the hands of Crawford. So
Hmm.
if Crawford can make Spence brawl, then I think Crawford has a great chance, and he might catch Spence. Except this time, unlike Ugas, who let Spence off the hook when he knocked out his mouthpiece.
You took it right from me, man.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
You better not
think
drop the mouthpiece.
yeah, he better not. Yeah, he better not drop the mouthpiece against Crawford because Crawford will pounce on him. So that's the
Hmm.
way I see Crawford winning this matchup right here.
Hmm.
So let's go into it. Who's gonna win? Is it going to go to distance, knockout? Who's winning this fight?
I think it's gonna go. I think it's gonna be Errol Spence. It's gonna be a TKO in the 10th round. I think that the
Wow.
referee's gonna stop it. I think that Bud Crawford's gonna is gonna be damaged too much, and Errol Spence is gonna reign, and he's gonna get he's number one pound for pound, number one without
Wow.
a doubt with this victory, and I think it's gonna be a
Uh,
knockout.
do you think it's going to be like pretty much a boring fight leading into that 10th round? Or is it
No,
going to be just fireworks? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a chess game in the first
Mm,
5 or 6 rounds, and
yeah.
then it's going to get out of control right after that. I think that Errol Spence is going to find a weakness. He's going to see Bud Crawford hurt, and he's going to go for the kill. I think that
Now,
the referee's going to stop it. Technical
wow.
knockout.
Now, I normally want to save this question for the reaction to the fight next week, to who actually won and lost. But if he does go down by knockout, because I don't have a knockout, I'll tell you my prediction in a minute. If Crawford does go down by knockout, what is next for Crawford?
If
Or TKO or TKO?
if he loses, if Crawford loses, right? If
But
Crawford
I want
loses,
to go by your knockout, by what you're saying, a tenth round
yeah,
stoppage.
stoppage.
What happens to Crawford on a 10th round stoppage? Yeah.
Go for the Charlo. Go for the Charlo. Go for I mean, he was gonna. There was beef between him and
Oh,
Jermell.
oh wow.
There was beef between him and Jermell.
Right.
I've heard even Tank calling out, Crawford. You know what I'm saying? They had some beef going on.
Wow.
So I mean,
Right.
that's what I see. That's what I see
Hmm.
because we'll talk, about the Jermell and Canelo thing, but I see maybe a Jermell Charlo versus Bud Crawford if that were to happen.
Wow. 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 Well, that would be a good redeeming fight for him. This is what I see in this fight. I think it's going to be exactly what you said. I think it's going to be more of a chess fight, and I think it's going to be too much for Crawford. You know, I don't want to sound like a homer, but I lived in South Oak Cliff for 5 years. I used to be a
Mm-hmm.
teacher there, and Earl Spence, huge megastar in that area. And I don't want to say because, I lived in his hometown for a while, but I think Spence is going to make this fight boring. I think it's going to be a boxing lesson. And I think it's going to be one of those 10-2, 9-3 bouts where
Wow.
Spence just shows total, complete dominance. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be one of those like, it's a different level. It's going to be a different level of fight. Kind of like, and this hurts me to say it, when Canelo fought Bivol. I think the weight jump was just too much for Canelo. I'm not saying that's for Crawford because they're still the same weight, but I think it's just a different level and skill, and I
Yes.
think that's going to overwhelm Crawford. And I give the Spence fight one of those 10-2 boring jab to death. He's going to jab Crawford to death. And I think at the end of this fight, Crawford's going to look like Martin Lawrence in that one episode of Martin. So
Oh
where he
yeah,
comes
yeah,
after fighting
yeah,
Hitman Hearns. So
yeah.
that is my prediction of the fight. You got any reaction to that?
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I think Spence is just too much, man. I think his trenches
Yeah.
has more. Spence is more of a dog, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
That's my opinion. It's just he's more of a
Hmm.
dog, and I think that Bud Crawford, hasn't fought anybody like Spence, who's stays hungry, and it's gonna be Spence.
There is something to say how you always say that Crawford fought Spence's leftovers. I agree
Yeah.
with you on that. And there is something to Crawford fighting these leftovers that are already broken down, you know? And I think you're right. I think Crawford has never fought a guy like this guy. Obviously, I don't think Spence has ever fought a guy like Crawford before. So, but I don't think Crawford has been tested as much
Yeah.
versus Spence, who actually has, you know, taken all challengers in that division. So I could see where you're coming from on that. Do you have any final words for our podcast?
Final words is we got two mega fights coming up, July 25th, July 29th, and we're gonna have our, pretty much the morning after, thoughts on the fights. And I would like for everybody to subscribe and like the video.
Right. Exactly. So we are on our TikTok, we are on our Instagram, all under the Stick and Move podcast. Go there, leave us some comments, leave us some comments on YouTube. We'll react to you. We will respond to your comments as much as possible. Give us some ideas on episodes you want us to talk about. We're all there for it. I don't know, man. I'm excited for this week. I think it's going to be fun, and I don't know. I can't wait for the following episode, the reaction episode.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
all right. So we're gonna leave it there, guys. And thank you guys for following. And don't forget to stick and move, baby.